islands of Samoa. Well, it is good to be with everybody today, and thank you for joining us here on Twitch. And my name is Dr. T, also known as Ukulele Dad, and this is the School Talk Story with Dr. T program plus Ukulele Dad show. We'll be sharing with you in a minute our ukulele class, so start looking for your instrument, everybody. But let me share with you a few announcements. I know some of you like to disappear during this time. But anyway, as I said, we welcome you to our program. We have a special guest coming up here a little later, so we look forward to seeing our guest. But here's the information that you will need for our ukulele class. Also, you can find the music and other information that you need. All right, well, today we're going to talk about several topics. This week we are talking about the beautiful Mariana Islands. So, this week we're going to focus on the island of Guam. And then coming up next week, we will continue with the rest of the islands there. But let me just share with you a few thoughts on the island of Guam, everybody. So some of you may or may not know that Guam is a United States territory, okay? And this is their beautiful flag here in the background, if you can't see. But it is an unincorporated U.S. territory, and it is part of Micronesia, and the capital is Hagatna, and the largest city is Dededo, and it is the largest southernmost island of the Mariana Islands. And it was under Spanish rule for a long time. In 1899, it ceded from Spain. The population is over 49% Pacific Islander, 36% Asian, and 9% multinational, 7% white. 210 square miles, and the population is over 168,000. The people of Guam are United States citizens, but they do not vote in presidential elections. And the official language of Guam and the Mariana Islands is Chamorro. So, yep, very interesting things that we learned here about Guam and the Mariana Islands. But again, they are our feature for today. And then next week, I will talk about some of the other islands in the Mariana Islands. But if you didn't know, this show is brought to you by the National Pacific Islander Education Network, also known as NPINE, if you didn't know that. But just wanted to make sure that you knew. Now, everybody, I think that is it for part of our announcements. Let me go to a few more here. So let me see here. Yep, I think I can find it. Sure none of you lose things out there. All right. So here we go. So if you'll see there, I'm sharing with you. Our guest today is Ursula Ann Siatanga. She works for the San Francisco Unified School District in the Fa'a Samoa Initiative. So we'll be hearing from her in a little bit. So look forward to seeing her. And there is Coach Wiley right there, Herbert. But here on our website, you can get more information again on our golf tournament, which is coming up. And right now, the in-person tournament is sold out at Recreation Park in Long Beach, but we still have room for the virtual tournament, which might be better because you can play it anywhere in the world. So here's the information on that. Please take a look. April 1st is the deadline for that. Yep, and I think the rest of this stuff you can read on your own, but we just updated our sponsors, and we have some great ones here. PIP, Mr. Facili, Ohana Delta Implant Centers. Wow, they're fantastic. Grand Canyon University. So take a look at that. let me switch over to our Facebook page, and Biba, that's what they say there. Say it's a term of excitement there. And this is the Mes Chamorro, or the Chamorro month, this particular month of March. So please make a note of that. Let's see what other announcements we have here for all of you. Well, I mentioned the golf tournament, of course, and that's our show. The Pacific Island Ethnic Art Museum, also known as PIAM, they've got several things coming up. This coming Saturday, April the 5th, they have a restoring will be taking place to talk about the Spanish-American War and the Restoring Pacifica Histories. And then on Saturday, April 12th, they're having a tapa making workshop. So take a look at that here on our Facebook group. And Senator Elena Gonzalez gives us some information about Women's History Month. And if you didn't order your donuts yet, we're having the Krispy Kreme fundraiser there. So take a look at that. Yeah, a lot of information on that. Let me see. I think the rest of this stuff is, you should know about it, everybody. So take a look at that. And those are all the announcements I wanted to share with you today, everybody. All right. Now let me see here. Yep, now you can see me a little better. And aloha to Grandmaster Ong. Always a pleasure to see you. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Yep, we appreciate you. So let us go now and share a few things with you. We've got ukulele class, and then I've got some talk story I wanted to share with you as well. But let's get started on ukulele class, and then we'll kind of go from there, everybody, till our guest comes. All right. Yeah, I don't see any messages from her, so I hope she's okay. But yeah, for ukulele class, everybody, we are going to learn. Let me see what. Yeah, we have a song we're going to learn called Te Manu Pukarua. So yeah, you'll like that one. But first of all, let us take a look at some of our chords. All right, so here we go. So our chords are, again, where we put our fingers on the strings. And we have 3 chords for this particular song. Yeah, this will be a good one to learn for our group this afternoon. We'll make a note of that. So again, here's your ukulele. I hope you found yours. But again, we strum the ukulele with our right hand, and then we use our left hand to put on the string. So if you look at your left hand, this is finger 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then on the ukulele, we have fret 1, that's the first section, fret 2, and then fret 3, and then fret 4. Okay, so these are the 4 frets where we put our fingers on the string, everybody. So our first chord where we put our fingers on the string is the C chord, everybody. So take a look at that. At the top, we have the string 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what S means. And then each of those has a name. So string 1 is known as the G string. String 2 is known as the C string. String 3 is the E string. String 4 is the A string. Okay, so they each have a note. So it's G, C, E, A. Yep, another way to remember that is my dog has fleas. So my dog has fleas. So just strum the C chord, 3rd finger on string 4. Good. Yeah, our guest is here, so let me hurry up here. And then our next chord, is the F chord. So First finger is on string 3, and second finger is on string number 1. So let's try strumming that. Good. And then finally, our G7 chord. This is a harder one. I call this the triangle, but the first finger's on string 3, second string 2, and third is on string 4. Again, G7 is the name of our chord. Okay, so let's try that, everybody. First finger is on string 3, second string 2, and third is on string 4. All right. So in this song, everybody, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and let our guest in here. So, yeah, welcome, Ursula Ann. I'm going to finish up this song and then we're going to go at it. Okay. Yeah, we are learning the song Te Manu Pukarua. Okay. So everybody, we just did the G7, the C, and the F chord. So it basically goes like this. G7, C7, F. One more time, everybody. G7, C7, F. Here we go. Te Manu Pukarua, Erua Pukamanu. Te Manu Pukarua, Erua Pukamanu. Te Manu Pukarua, Erua Pukamanu. Here we go, refrain. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. One more time. Te manu pukarua, erua pukamanu. Te manu pukarua, erua pukamanu. Te manu pukarua, erua pukamanu. The refrain, everybody. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. One more time on the refrain. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. Hasta po, tema te bakane. All right, everybody. Good work there. All right, everybody. But with that, again, we'd like to welcome our guest, Ursula Ann, to this show. Yeah, we were just finishing up our song here, so thanks for your patience.
It's all good.
But yeah, everybody, make sure you practice out there because sometimes we go over the chords and they don't practice. But thank you so much for coming and joining us on the show. And I did mention to everybody earlier about you and you're working with the Fa'a Samoa initiative for the San Francisco Unified School District. But so did I get that right? Is that what your role is in the district?
Yes. I'm one of the special superintendents for San Francisco Unified, overseeing the Fat Samoa initiative, which was, the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander resolution that the community here in San Francisco pushed for in the
Good.
district.
Well, that is more than fantastic. And how many years have you been doing this? And has this been your entire career, or what else have you been up to there? I know you're busy.
Thank you so much. So I've been in this particular role for about 3 years. I've been in education for a little over 10 in various roles. So I started off as an instructor in the community colleges. So I was working at College of San Mateo, City College of San Francisco, teaching critical Pacific and Oceania studies courses, Pacific Islander in the arts, and some film courses.
Great.
And then I was able to as a lecturer up in San Francisco Unified, again for their critical Pacific and minor. And so I've been, within the realm of as an educator. But when I got to San Francisco Unified, I actually started off as a teacher recruiter.
Mm,
So I was going up and down California, flying to all the different teaching credential, education, job recruitment, looking for um, teachers that wanted to teach in San Francisco. And I loved it because one of my work streams was to target focus recruitment for Pacific Islander teachers.
great.
And so that was so I was there 2 years, and then the community really wanted to move into spaces where uh, we can strategize at a district level, and so they advocated for the position that I currently hold in the superintendent's office.
Well, fantastic. You've done so much, and we are truly grateful for all you've done. And our friend Frusen Forever says hello. So. And also Grandmaster Ong says hello. But maybe you can share with us your thoughts on education as a whole, and why do you believe that Pacific Islander students and, well, anybody out there should enter the field of education?
Definitely a rewarding field for me. I didn't know I was going to be in the education field. I kind of somehow maybe things were just aligned for me to do that. I know that it had to start with my upbringing. It had to start with my family, my grandma, my parents valuing education, right? And really pushing us to like go to school, go to school, go to school.
Hmm.
And really sharing their own arrival stories of like the reasons why they came from Samoa here. Like it's like we came here for a better life. We came here to make sure the next generation, and one of those things was education. And so I know that the value was there and it's always been there. And I'm one of the six, kids that listen.
Ah, ah,
So I ended up taking that route. Of course, my siblings helped me too. They made sure that they were around to also push. So I think that my family did a lot of the pushing. And then I started to understand like how important it is for all of us. It's I know that education is very global for me. It's very universal, that education doesn't only happen in the classroom, but I also know how important it is that things that are happening in the classroom, since it takes the majority of our students' time, that something's happening there as far as like education. And so, for me, it could be part of this work of active service I usually talk about. I usually share about, you know, Pacific Islanders, they like our Samoan folks, they always talk about that word tautua,
hmm.
this like level of service, and that's ingrained in our values. And then we take that and we're just like, teaching is definitely the act of service, like to our community. And so, I've taken that and it's been a rewarding experience. A lot of challenges, just as far as like different um, systems, but I also know that in these spaces we can create so much change. You know, when the all of the adults get together and talk to each other, where we become the buffer. We become the safety net around our kids. We get aligned with what our values are because they're actually, to me, sometimes I feel like our our values are the same. We're aligned in what we love to see our students become and thrive to be, and I think a lot of communication would help so much. People just pick up the phone and talk to each other. Like um,
Yeah, imagine that.
you know, you know, respond to an email. These different things really really help to create that level of community. And I know sometimes for whatever reason, we get disconnected. But I just love that there's always people that are trying to reconnect us all again. And so I just appreciate like you reaching out. And I was like, hey, uh, I also wanted to share, just a little snippet.
Of
We
course, take your
started
time.
we started a ukulele class here. We have Penny Jackson, who's part of Legacies of the Pacific.
Oh,
And I told her about you've always inspired, since you started the ukulele, but I never got to do it until now. So I have 10 ukuleles right here. And we have
fantastic.
it Tuesday nights. And so if ever one day, I hop on and we could do a jam session, that'll be so much fun. Uh, but
Yep.
thank you for being that inspiration on the creative side of the house.
Yep, you keep me posted because we need more ukulele out there. Yeah, our organization, we had our ukulele class at Ohana Hawaiian Barbecue on Tuesday night this week. But yeah, it's just nice. We fill up the restaurant and we play music. And again, most of the people were not Pacific Islander, but that's okay. We want to bring the village together. So through music.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty diverse here as well, and we love it. We love when people can get together and do stuff together. And ukulele right now it's been we started off, there was only two of us interested, and now we have 10 adults, and and we're all having fun, and we just love it. It's like that 1 hour a week for us.
Beautiful. Now, let me, I did mention everybody. I'm going to share this, see if my technology works. Okay. It worked, yeah. So I did mention to everybody, that you were one of the keynotes at our recent conference up there in Hayward. But take some time to again instruct the audience on the Fa'asamoa initiative and how did it come about, and basically what you've been accomplishing so far. And yeah, before I forget, I like your stories because it reminded me of way back when I grew up in the 1960s. Yeah, yeah, that was the same thing. And again, I'm grateful for my parents who were educated. I mean, they came here with college degrees, so it weren't too many of those days. But tell us about Samoa there.
Sure. So Fa'asamoa Initiative is part of a resolution in the school district in San Francisco that really pushed to um, address or enhance the work with Pacific Islander students and families. And this came about due to our community, our Pacific Islander community in San Francisco back in 2015. They saw some data points that was very concerning.
Hmm.
Uh, Data points around our Pacific Islander students' math scores, literacy scores, incarceration score. You know what I mean, like increase, and also the chronic absenteeism. So large number of our students not going to school, large numbers of our students dropping out for whatever reason, and so the community like they came to border meetings, 1 minute, 2 minute comments, public
Mhm.
comments, to really ask the district, we want to help. We want to help, and we need you to help us, to help you, to help our students on the academic side of the house. And so greatly, we had two commissioners at the time, Stephen Cook and Hydra Mendoza, who really started to listen, right? And listen to a point where they acted on, let's meet with the Pacific Islander community because they keep coming to the board meetings, and we have to like find some time. So when everyone sat down, they talked to the commissioners, and the commissioners, it made sense to them that we have to do something for Pacific Islander students and their families. We have to figure out ways as a district to strategize on ways we can improve how we serve this community. And the push at that time, finally, remember from 2015, now it's 2018, And now there's a resolution written, and then the resolution passed in 2018.
Hmm.
And so that resolution included the level of visibility of like who we are as Pacific Islanders, and the district honoring at least the goals around, well, maybe we need to increase the numbers of teachers. Maybe we need to, that shares the same demographics of our student population. Maybe that can help because we know studies have shown that has helped. And that's when the first position they advocated for, when that first uh, resolution passed, was a teacher recruiter.
Hmm.
And that's where I came in.
Ta-da!
Right. So here I am. And so during that time as a recruiter, there's many things. People are like, why aren't Pacific Islanders applying to certificated teacher positions? Why? Like, there's all these why. So for me, my first year was really just combing through what are we doing as a district, uh, combing through how your application is, how you're outreaching, how, you know what I mean? Like I combed through on the school district side and I realized there's a huge disconnects. I was like, oh, I got this. Don't worry. And we were able to increase in really good numbers. Like we had ended up, we went from hiring 2 Pacific Islanders to hiring 7
Wow.
across, right, pre-K through, or K through 12. And, for us, it was really like we needed this target word stream of someone that people can call and not a number or an email that nobody responds. So I think it was very much around that. Years later, we ended up having a commissioner, Paunga Molina, who ended up jumping on to the Board of Education, first appointed by the mayor and then later being elected. And we were excited. So many of us was like, there's so many looks like us on the board. For us, it was very new for us here in San Francisco.
I'm
So
sure.
right. So we were so excited. We ended up, so he ended up really doing something similar in which he was digging, like, why aren't these things happening? Where is there a disconnect? How can we make the connection? And then some data came out that we were actually under counted, right, in the data. So
Hmm.
now the district then moved into a different realm where now Faunga Molinga at the time, he's like, you know what? We need to amend this resolution and actually put specific asks. These asks included making sure that there's a parent advisory council that can push, which we have now, the Matu Advisory Council. We need to make sure that there's a work around focusing on the Samoan students because they were the majority of our Pacific Islander students at the time, and they were the ones that showed the numbers of supports needed. And then really just there were so many, there's 29 directives on there. And so, and then one of those pushes, because it passed in 2020, and mind you, we're still in the pandemic at that time. So when
Mhm.
the resolution was amended, now the push was we need someone in the district that their full-time job is to help us strategize on making sure that we're aligning with this particular new policy and that we're in compliance. So for me, I'm like, I get it. On the district level, compliance is important, but I also know like we have to change how we're doing things with our students and our families. And really it's just communication. I think that was the and people not knowing the different processes and folks like not knowing some of our cultural values and getting things twisted. So for me coming in, I was like, oh well, what can I do in my capacity? There wasn't enough to get me a staff, there wasn't enough to do all these other things, but what can I do? So I've been always a champion around supporting collective work and understanding our community demographics enough to know like how to navigate, in many ways. But it really continuously, and I tell people all this time, it starts with communication. It starts with talking to people. It's talking, going to sit with the elders, sit with the community leaders, sit with the students, sit with the educators, and really listen to what the needs are. And when I hear, I was like, each school site has their own culture. There's 132 schools in this district, right?
That's a few.
Right? There's about 50,000 students, right? And so for me, it's so important that my first things is just let me go listen, let me go observe, let me see what's happening, let me see where the gaps are, where there could be some miscommunication and lack of communication, and let's see how I can mend those because that's what I knew I had capacity. And so my first year, I ended up building out a newsletter. So it's the Samoa Initiative newsletter that comes out monthly. And this is the one newsletter that goes out to SFUSD community, the district community, and it goes out to our Pacific Islander community.
Great.
And in that newsletter, it has both what's happening in the district as far as our Pacific Islanders and what's happening in the community with Pacific Islanders. So that, right now, I mean, I started off with 70 subscribers. Now it's up to like 300. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I love it. And when people see me, they're
Yeah.
like, I read your newsletter. And I was like, cool. I could use some help with it though. So I've been encouraging our parent advisory council, our Mato advisory council to jump in and let's do the newsletter together. Because, it could be, I mean, we could do so much in that space of communicating what's happening across both the district and the community.
Yep. If you need any help, let us know. We have a newsletter too, but it takes help. You need help.
Right? Exactly. So other things that we've been tackling are really just addressing. I usually tell people that the Mato Advisory Council has been my advisors in the work of moving this initiative. And advisors as far as like asking them, there are 29 directives on this resolution. Which top three, would you like me to work on this year? Right. And so the first year they wanted this pre-K Samoan dual language to move. They wanted to start that. They wanted to start the connection with the college and career readiness. They wanted to tackle chronic absenteeism. These were the top three at the time. And so I went to work. I was able to support in building out the pre-K Samoan dual language at one of our early ed centers here in Bayview Hunters Point, which is a good percentage of our Pacific Islander residents. They live on the southeast side of San Francisco. And so we were excited. We found a beautiful, amazing teacher, Miss Epinesa Taylor. Just so happens she was in early ed. She was actually a pre-K teacher in the district for 20 years. And when she was given this opportunity, she was like, I asked for this 5 years ago, but I'm so glad it's now in fruition. So she's having fun. I know there's been times when we're still trying to build because there's one thing that I know I'm good at is helping to build things, building the strong foundation. And then sustainability, I'm like, oh, that's somebody else's job, But I ended up, just trying to help again to support finding better strategies to recruit our families, getting the word out that this one class at this one school exists for now, until we get things kind of up and running. But it's district wide, they have it on our website now as a language, right? And I know that there's been really targets around eliminating multilingual pathway work, but the school district is very strong in the importance of this because the data shows language is, what I mean, like students learning multiple languages is a positive thing, and just finding ways to keep advocating for that. So great impacts with that pre-K Samoan dual language. College and career readiness was my next task, and just partnering with City College of San Francisco, uh, some things that are already existing, like dual enrollment work. And I was like, oh, we got dual enrollment. Can we just offer in our high schools? These are critical Pacific and Oceania studies courses that are already at community college. and that gelled well. So that class, the arts class and the history class, is being taught at one of the high schools right now. And we're just excited that it exists. We went to that high school prior to and sat with the students and asked them, what is it you feel you need to feel safe at your school, for you to attend school, for you to, and they all, every single one of them, we wish we had teachers that look like us. We wish there was actually content and curriculum that is about us, and we would come to school. And so we confirming, like, okay, the students want it, the administration says it's a great thing, the city college is ready to partner, let's make it happen. So I'm still waiting on data on that, but I know um, the data on the pre-K was amazing. Like, we were able to increase the kindergarten readiness index percentage to like 3,000%, like in 1 year, of like our kindergarten students are ready, for kindergarten because they went through that pre-K class. So it's, promoting early enrollment, you know. So many things we've been doing with the skeleton crew, but we know that's what everybody in our work we need to do. Is we have a skeleton crew, it's okay. And utilizing our resources, leveraging our supports, building our relationships with
Good.
with folks, and really uh, do what we say we're going to do, and addressing exactly what the resolution says we need to address at the same time.
Nope, I appreciate that so much. Before we get into my favorite topic, which is chronic absenteeism, so I wrote my dissertation on that. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing these things, and truly, I mean, dual language immersion is historic. I mean, it doesn't exist. So congratulations to the district on that. It kind of brought me some interesting thoughts. I was involved in dual language immersion for a long time, but it was in Spanish because, the reason I went into education was because of my Spanish teacher, because she cared about me. And so you can imagine in the 70s, there were no teachers who looked like us. There were none. But yeah, she was truly one that cared about me and helped me, her and my music teacher and my track coach. And so I said, I want to be like her. So I had a good opportunity to live in South America for 2 years where I learned the language. And then I said, I want to become a teacher like her. So you can imagine I came back after my 2 year time in South America and I spoke to her in Spanish. And I mean, tears came to her eyes. She's, wow. So, yeah, she just couldn't believe it. So I says, well, I don't know if I was sent on the earth to speak Samoan, but I'm speaking Spanish. But again, it was very interesting because I was pretty much the only administrator that spoke Spanish in the school, and I'm a Samoan.
Yeah,
But they kind of look at me. I said, well, I mean, our language brings us together. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that because it was pretty amazing those days. But
awesome.
well, please tell us about chronic absenteeism. And again, as I mentioned, this is something that I'm always very interested in because if you're not there, it's kind of hard to learn. but tell us what has been happening in this area.
Sure. Thank you. So for chronic absenteeism, when we were able to pull accurate data in the school district around where our Pacific Islander students were at the time, we our students superseded the rest of the ethnicities and in chronic absenteeism. In 2021, they were at 78%
Mhm.
not coming to school. 78% of our students were not attending. They were all chronic absent. Um, and so when we were able to get that data, then we're like, okay, that confirms what we already know. So as a community. So again, I turned to community on ways of like, I can strategize with the district all day, but I need the parents. I need the parents. And so the parents many of the parents started to realize, like, if I just showed them the data, they're like, oh my goodness, our students. And some of them were like, you know what, I'm one of those students. I'm one of those parents. Let me work on. I think my kid is on that list. Let me work on that. And I was like, see, if we could just start with us, we start with us. But we were also hearing there's so many stories, various stories that were coming from the why our students were not attending. And one story in particular, I remember it was a fifth grader, and it was a common story. It was like a fifth grader who was chronically absent. The parent of the teacher and the admin reached out, and we went and did a home visit. And really, we just realized like this kid had to stay home to watch one of their parents who was bedridden, right? While the other parent was at work, right? And so that right there, when we start listening, we start really digging deep on what the why is, we understood, right? And so the goal was then, where in our community, like as far as like our organizations are, like holds that type of service to support this. So the great thing is the teacher, the community, like all of us and the parent, we all got together to strategize. What can we do to lift this? Do we need to bring a teacher to your house? Do we need to, because there's all different methods and for that. And so I would say stories like that, stories of, and we were just talking about elementary and middle, you know, high school. I mean, I just remember when I was a high school student, there's a lot of distractions. Let's just that
What?
just so happens to be outside of the classroom. Many of us were attending school in high school. It's just we weren't attending classes. So there was they called many of us the hall walkers, and and again the ways in which we try to strategize now on, like, well, do we need more attention, like hall sweeps, like what can we do as a school site, because it happens at all the school sites. What can we do to really help address this? And we knew that staffing shortages are high in public education. We know that there's so many things happening, budget deficits, and all these things. It's like, what else can we do, to help make sure that the schools are prepared and adequate? You know what I mean? Like they have what they need to serve our students. So anyway, so 2021, we were at 78%. When the community started getting involved and understanding, like they understood, they just, I guess, they just needed a magnifying glass on the issue, and the community moved on it. Many of the parents started to attend, making sure that their kid attended school. We made sure we did things in community that kept that number there, that was like, hey, this 78% is too much, like. And so in 2022, it went down 69%.
Wow.
Right? Last year, it actually went down 64%. So something is happening where our students are coming to school. Now, for me, my question is always, is it because we're gaining a lot of visibility of being Pacific Islanders and doing Pacific Islander culturally specific curriculum or activities, or that's helping kind of move the needle, in addition to all the communities like really like, no, my kid has to go to school now. You know what I mean? Like they need to go to school, or we need to find other resources that'll support us with it, thing. And so we're excited with the chronic absenteeism number going down. But now, because our students are going to school, they're also taking those assessment tests, right? That covers math, language arts, right? And now we're seeing these accurate numbers, and it's actually going down. So now more students are taking the test because they're coming, but now we see on the academic side of the house, there's now supports. Now we can focus on areas there now. So it's like we needed them to come to school first for us to know what the problem is. Because the problem was not coming to school. So that's like,
Imagine that.
now we can see what academic supports would be needed. and then tackle that or address that. So
Well, this is fantastic news, and I'll send you a copy. I actually wrote an article for AXA on this topic in 2020. But yeah, I'll send you a copy of it. But yeah, it was exactly about what you're saying about, we talked about, the underlying health conditions of our community. I talked about exactly what you're saying, caring for our elders. I talked about, the situation with COVID, and, we lost so many of our people to COVID. So, but it was interesting because as I went around to my colleagues, I says, well, how many of you have ever asked why they don't come? So, oh, so, yeah, they're kind of looking at me. So, we have a group in our organization, Enpine, called the School Attendance Review Team. So, we're always reaching out to Pacific Islanders and others that want to help. And primarily, you're there just to give advice to the school districts. So that's another thing that we're working on. It's interesting. I just saw Mr. Kevin Pidgey. He's from the African American community, but he was my probation officer at Paramount School District.
mm,
So we would go out and visit everybody, and I'm kind of explaining to him about my people and our people. And but yeah, he was so interested. He actually served as a board member for our organization for several years. He was really interested. He said, "It's all." I said, "Oh yeah. I mean, the entire village can serve on our board, and we need you." So, but yeah, he was one that wasn't about locking everybody up, but he was about finding out, what the issue is and helping. And I had another a gentleman who's a district attorney. He was the same way. I mean, we'd go to SARB and he'd say, "Welcome to our helping meeting." They're going, "Huh? We're in the courthouse." Yeah, but I mean, these two got it. And again, it was getting back to finding out what the reasons were. And so I'm glad. Another thing I mentioned in the school districts, I says, we have something called short-term independent study. Have you ever used it? Oh, no. so, so anyway, good. Well, I can go on this topic because, like I said, I did my dissertation on it. Well, let me ask you one other thought, and then again, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We truly, truly appreciate it. And this has to do with what I tried to do as a school leader, and I was one for 31 of my 36 years in education. I was a school administrator. And they said, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "Well, I could just help more people in the village. That's why." So that's pretty much why I did it. And I tried very hard because this is something we're taught to lead with aloha or alofa, right? Now, I want you to know, Ursula Ann, that this style of leadership wasn't always met very well. Because I had some colleagues who were more into the bureaucratic type of leadership. So they'd ask me, they says, "Well, Dr. Thompson, why do you spend so much time talking to your colleagues?" So I kind of look at them. I said, "Well, because I feel that people are our most important asset." So, so they gave me a very funny look. And then we would do something for our particular division. The last 16 years, I worked for the LA County Office of Education. So we would have what we call a retreat for our division. And I had over 100 people in our division. So the other directors would say, "Why do you do that?" So, I remember one year I took them all to the Queen Mary here in Long Beach. So we had a tour of the boat, and we had lunch together. I said, "Well, this is something we call team building." And I find that as we build the village, we tend to work much better together. So, so yeah, this is kind of what our organization, Enpine, we call this aloha leadership, reaching out to the people. But what are your thoughts on this type of leadership?
it's amazing. I I feel like it's definitely a leadership method that works. Like I've seen it work, you know. Some of the things I think about when I do think about doing things with Aloha and Ofa, right? That the biggest things is around listening, you know? Like I tell people all the time, they'll if folks are just talking about students, but there's no students in a room and we're all adults and they're trying to figure out ways, I usually just tell them like, have we asked the students? You know, have we asked the students? Let's
Imagine
have a
that.
conversation. Imagine that, you know? And sometimes it's like people know, but it's like, I would say people have their jobs to do, and they have these tasks that they have to check the box. But for me, it's like it would be nice to do things and involve the specific people that are impacted by the decisions that's going to happen in this space. And I just feel like people know it, but people, it's kind of, I don't know, like people know it and they want to do it. They probably think it's a tedious task and it take too long. I was like, but that's exactly why we need to do it, right? That's exactly why we need to do it. So I would say when we're talking about leading schools with Aloha, I think about listening. I think about learning. My task in the district is supporting Pacific Islander students and families and strategizing with the district and how to also find ways to improve the way we also serve as a whole district. But I also have a mindset of like I work across ethnicities as well because I try to learn about everyone else's struggle, everyone else, and how we can just do things together. So I get excited. I work with our Latinx community. I work with our African American community, and they've had their initiative for over 7 years now.
Wow.
So they were able to share gems and nuggets of when they started, things they would have improved in, challenges they faced, because the African American students, the Black students, and the Pacific Islander students, we all had the same data sets.
Hmm.
We were coming from the same neighborhoods. We were, so for me, it's like being able to share across and has been so helpful. Our indigenous folks, our Native American, like they've been also advocating, and what I mean, like our special education service, like all these entities have been able to focus on trying to uh, make the district, better in ways in which we serve all of the communities. But for
Beautiful.
me, I'm like, I can't sit in mine knowing that, like our other communities are also um, suffering or need to be addressed. So we were always trying to find ways of doing that collective work. And to me, Aloha, you're right. It's like it's collective. It's supporting each other. Whatever resources we all have for all of our students is great. And I usually tell people this all the time because there was a time when there was a heavy focus on Pacific Islanders because we had a commissioner that
Right.
reminded them every time, right? Which was it's great. Even if the topic of that meeting had nothing to do with Pacific Islanders, the topic of Pacific Islanders came up, which was great, right? But I know like I had to share how important it is that we need to address what's happening with our Black students. Because once we can figure that out, then everything else would be positive. A positive impact would happen with Pacific Islanders as well. And so I really try to make sure that people understand that because it's been a long time coming. And I would say that's ways in which I feel when we talk about Aloha, we talk about Aloha, that's that listening, responding, being able to doing the collective work, being honest about our capacity. We can't change everything, but we could change this, here or change this relationship or change, and then just being courageous. I think that's great. Being in the positions like I was scared to be in this position. I was like, I don't know how to be an administrator in a large school district, but something was like, it's okay. This is a good learning, and the community has is overjoyed that you're the one that's going to take that. Because I would have stayed in recruitment because I was trapped, but I understood the assignment. I was like, I get
Good.
it, and I need to get through this level of fear of like, there's not people that look like me in leadership. How can I find my way? And everybody's been helpful. I had to be okay with asking questions, being
Good.
okay with asking for help, right? All the things that now I teach my students, like we have to practice how to ask questions, how to ask for support, ask for help, because we can't do this alone. And so I would say that that's what I think about when I think about leading with Aloha.
Good. Well, it's interesting. I retired almost 5 years ago from my last office, LA County Office of Education, but I still go there twice a month because we teach ukulele class. So, and we started an office-wide class. So that's what also brought us together. It was through music. We would walk around the entire office and play music. But I was surprised this year. The African American Heritage Group called me. I said yes, and then the Hispanic Heritage Committee called me. I said yes. So yours truly was playing music for both of their celebration. But that was a nice thing. We learned how to sing in Spanish. I taught them all the Pacific Islander language. We learned all of the African American spirituals. So you can see it brought us all together. So it was great.
You
Well, I've got to let our friend go because she's probably got a few other things to do. But any parting shots for the students out there? Anybody?
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for the opportunity to be able to share story, share space with you, and share my experience right now, within this career in education. One thing to note is I'm actually applying for an educational leadership program, for an EDD program, and
Sure.
so I'm just excited to take this to the next level and passing whatever fears I have of what the next level would look like. And I would always share, like, I'm usually easy to find. So the support, again, listening, responding, finding ways to support, any way or any capacity that I have. Like, again, this level of service and active service to community, um, is truly helpful for me, personally as well. So thank you.
Yep. Let me know how I can help. I'm still serving on dissertation committees right now. So another way to keep me out of trouble, right? Well, friends, we are so thankful to again Ursula Ann for joining us today. Yeah, Faftai Tele Lava, and please say hello to everybody up there in San Francisco. Yeah, I like going up there and running by the Golden Gate Bridge, so we'll have to come up there and run sometime.
For sure.
All right, so take care. Yep. Fa soi fua. Well, friends, let me share with you our final Aloha song. But what a wonderful guest we had today, and thanks for everybody for joining in. But let me play for you our final Aloha song here. But again, we will continue next week to talk about the Mariana Islands. Today we talked about Guam, and next week we will talk about the Northern Mariana Islands. So we look forward to that. And again, mahalo. Thank you so much to all of you. We appreciate you. We were at Ohana Hawaiian Barbecue this week on Tuesday night. Good to see everybody. We had a nice group come out and play the ukulele. But we will be back again at this time, 12 p.m. Pacific time, next Thursday, everybody. But let me share the final Aloha song for you. And in Guam, they say adios. That's in the Mariana Islands. That's how they say goodbye. Aloha from Hawaii. Adios from Guam, Mariana Islands. Aloha from the Kingdom of Tonga. Airera from the Cook Islands. Airera from New Zealand. Aotearoa. Yahweh from the Marshall Islands. Ne'iku from Palau. Mothe from Fiji. Nana from Tahiti. And Tofa from the islands of Samoa. Again, everybody, great to see all of you, and adios from the Mariana Islands. Take care. Take some aloha to the world, everybody.